Welcome back, everyone. This is Clear the Deck. Well, I said in my last episode when I closed it out, if the Pirates are somehow able to take 2 out of 3 out of these Orioles, the same Orioles that won 101 games last year, won the AL East, if they're somehow able to win this series, the boys would be buzzing. And that was absolutely the energy on Sunday when they were somehow able to take that second game of the series and win it, their third straight to start 2024. It wasn't pretty. There was a lot of bad defense and still some suspect base running, but wins are wins. Pirates are 8-2 on the season, leading the NL Central. Brewers are 6-2, Cubs are 6-3, Reds 5-4, and the Cardinals in the basement of the NL Central, which is always good to say, at 5-5. It's funny that, of course, all offseason, folks were saying the NL Central was going to be weak and not really competitive and anybody could win it, which I think is still true, but, of course they're in the division where there isn't a team below 500. If you look at, the other divisions across the league, NL East, Mets 3-6, Nationals 3-6, Marlins 1-9. Actually, the Phillies are 4-5. The Braves are the only one with a record above 500 in the NL East, and of course they're leading that division. NL West, they have 3. Actually, they also have 4 below 500 teams. Padres 5-7, Diamondbacks 4-6, Giants 4-6, Rockies 2-8. Dodgers leading that division right now with an 8-4 record. AL East, the Blue Jays are 4-6. The AL Central, there are 2 teams below 500. Twins 3-4, White Sox 1-8. And then in the AL West, there are 3 teams below 500. The Mariners 4-6, the Astros and Athletics both 3-7. So it's just funny. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the 2015 season when Pirates were second in all of baseball with 98 wins. Of course, the team with 100 wins that season, the St. Louis Cardinals. 98 wins would have won any other division that year, but Pirates instead find their way in the wild card. They lose to the Cubs, of course. Jake Arrieta, just nightmare. Don't even want to talk about it. But just funny how that works out. We're only 10 games in. Always have to kind of qualify that, but you'd rather be 8-2 than 2-8. I'll tell you that. So if we look at these games, game 1, a 5-2 loss against the Orioles, so they lose game 1. Jared Jones, just still an absolute boss. Had a quality start, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. On offense, we did see the Pirates get 2 solo home runs, O'Neal Cruz and Jared Triolo. I think all in all, that was probably the first game of the year, that game 1 where, the bullpen wasn't really performing up to their ability that we had seen in the Marlins and Nationals series. Buccos had given up 2 earned runs with only 1 out. Hunter Stratton had given up an earned run as well. So, you lose that game 1. You lose a little bit of momentum, but Pirates win game 2 and game 3, both in extra innings, which was actually just game 2 was an extra innings. Game 3 ended in the bottom of the ninth. It felt like it was an extra innings with all the drama there, but Pirates win game 2 by a score of 5-4, 11 innings. I think the realization in game 2 that I had, or the reflection that I'm thinking of right now, is Bailey Falter just coming out of nowhere, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Absolutely should have still had a no-hitter going into the 7th. The only hit that he gave up was a pop-out double that fell in between Alika Williams and who was in center field, Jack Sawinski. Absolutely should not have ever touched the ground. Was a high pop-up. I think on the replay you can see that no one's really calling off, or if they are, no one's listening to it. Somehow falls in between them, gives up the first hit of Falter's outing in the 6th inning, which was just crazy because, I mean, hand up, I'm not the biggest Bailey Falter fan, and I think he shut up, including myself, a lot of fans that not necessarily were rooting against him, but I think there are a lot of other pitchers in the system that, could put together quality outings, but there hasn't been one better so far than Falter's. So have to, put your hand up when you're wrong. And, so far Falter, outside of that first start where, again, he wasn't great against the Marlins, gives up that first inning grand slam to Jazz Chisholm. But, hat tip to Bailey Falter for, shutting us up for at least one more start. So it was really good to see Pirates get that win in the bottom of the 11th. I will say I've been to PNC all 3 games so far, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I plan on going to Monday and Tuesday's games as well to round out this homestand, but there was a lot of excitement. I think it's good that baseball is back. It was good that, we had that home opener on Friday, just crazy, crazy weather. Hail, snow, rain. There was even some sun, which for a brief moment felt good, but immediately went back to really cold weather. But even on Saturday and Sunday, which you're not going to get as many fans in the building compared to opening day, some really, I think, electric crowds. And Pirates are giving the fans, a taste of what this new roster can bring. I think there are a lot of, again, high quality, roster spots all throughout the lineup, all throughout the, pitching staff as well. And even the bullpen. We even saw Ryan Barucki go on to the injured list, and Jose Hernandez come up, and the bullpen, and we're not even. My point is, we're not even at our strongest, part yet of this full roster. So it's going to be exciting to see this roster just continue to prove. We haven't seen Paul Skeens yet, and who do we have in the middle infielders in Indianapolis right now? Leo Piguero and Nick Gonzalez, right? I don't think Alika Williams is going to be up here the whole year. Probably not. So my point is they're winning games, with Derek Shelton had this quote actually. They're winning games from every roster spot, right? All 26 guys are contributing, which is really fun to see, which I don't think you could always, say that in the past, basically. So if you go into game 3, Sunday's game against the Orioles, we had Marco Gonzalez with his, I think second straight, really quality start to begin the year. Pirates actually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they're now on 4 straight quality starts, which is absolutely what you want to see from your rotation. When, a lot of people, I think, when they looked at this team, they look at the rotation, they say, it's not really that strong. They should have added better pieces. They should have added better free agents. And you can't just bet on, Paul Skeens to be the only addition that's, really gonna, improve. But, early on, I think the rotation, the bullpen are really bright spots in these first 10 games. And again, I'm going to qualify it. I'm going to continue to qualify it by saying, yes, we're only 10 games in, but it's really impressive, I think, to see what they're doing. And honestly, if we're also focusing a little bit on Sunday's game, you probably should have lost this game. Orioles, most of the game were up 2-0. Pirates go into the bottom of the 9th, down 2-1. Ke'Bryan Hayes immediately gets a single. Jack Sawinski immediately gets a single to move Ke'Bryan Hayes to third. So you have first and third, no outs. Connor Joe walks. So we got the bases loaded again, no outs. A familiar sight for those watching the games closely. We saw that same situation on Saturday. Pirates got 0 runs on that. So a little bit of, maybe lack of confidence in that moment, but you have bases loaded, 0 outs. Immediately, Rowdy Tellez is up. That same situation on Saturday, he pops out. This time he hits a weak grounder to first base. Out at home on the throw. A pretty easy out, although the umpire did call Ke'Bryan Hayes safe at first. But, Orioles, of course, reviewed it clearly out by a really, really wide margin. So now you got bases loaded, 1 out. Again, you're still, down 2-1. Edward Olivares is up. He grounds a ball up the middle. Gunnar Henderson, the Baltimore shortstop, makes a tremendous play, a diving play. We saw the Baltimore Orioles infielders do that a bunch of times on Sunday, but Gunnar Henderson dives, gets the ball, touches the bag with his glove, the ball in it, so gets the guy out at second, immediately throws it to first to try to get the double play and to close out the game, or at least at that point, yeah, it would have closed the game because a double play, even if the runner scores, that run doesn't count on a double play. So he gets the out at second, errant throw to first, goes past the first baseman, goes into it wasn't the dugout, but goes out of play. So Connor Joe ends up scoring. Well, Jack Swinsky scores the tying run. Connor Joe, because the throw went out of bounds, out of play, also scores. Pirates win 3-2. And PNC Park was bumping. I will say, I was there on Sunday. Again, some of my friends were there as well. It was a crazy game. The Pirates shouldn't have won that game. And I think that's another kind of takeaway in these first 10 games. Pirates are pretty lucky to be 8-2 right now. Probably have a couple of those wins of those 8 that I think in years past probably don't go our way. So I think that's, again, Pirates aren't even firing on all cylinders yet, and they're 8-2. Now, they have a lot of errors. We talked about that. You got to stop that. You can't survive a 162 game season if you're, making as many errors as they are. I think they're leading the league. If not, they're close to it. You can't be making as many errors in the field and on the base running pass, because we saw that again on Sunday, right? We've known that Mike Ribello, the third base coach, has made some questionable calls and sending runners home. We saw it again on Sunday. O'Neal Cruz hits a double. Triolo was on base. Doesn't read it very well, but Mike Ribello sends him home. Outfielder throws the ball in. Cutoff man gets it, throws it home, and he's out by a few, I would say, more than a few steps. Wasn't very close at all. So again, who's that on? Is that on Triolo? Is that on Ribello? I think Ribello, he's the coach. He's the one who sees the play. He sees if Jared Triolo is not reading the ball well. He knows the speed, or he should know all the players' speeds, but you have to limit those mistakes, right? So what's next? Pirates move on, continue the homestand Monday night and Tuesday afternoon. Monday night, 6:40 start time. We see Mitch Keller gets his third start of the season. So far, he's 0-1 with a 6.55 ERA. I think we talked about Mitch Keller's starts previously and his reliance on the cutter. Let's see if he relies on that as much today, Monday night. On that cutter that hasn't really seen much success, hasn't had too much command on that pitch. So we'll see if he relies on his, fastball or curveball, right? He's got a ton of pitches. The cutter, if it's not working, it's early on again, but I think for the third start in the row, if we see that cutter and that reliance on the cutter again, and he's not hitting his spots with it, fans are already a little bit antsy about his performance so far with that 6.55 ERA in his first 2 starts. I think we're just going to hear it even more now. You can excuse 1 or 2 starts. I think when it, becomes a trend after more than 2 starts, that's when you start to get a little bit worried. So Mitch Keller, he'll get his third chance against the Tigers Monday night. Tigers are going to pitch Reese Olson. I'm going to be very honest. I've never heard this name before, so I had to do a little bit of research. He was actually drafted originally by the Milwaukee Brewers in the 2018 draft. But last year with the Tigers was his rookie season, which I believe he probably exceeded his rookie limits because he pitched a fair and good bit amount in 2023. Had 21 appearances, 18 starts for the Tigers in 2023, a 3.99 ERA, had 103 innings and 103 strikeouts. So averaging about a strikeout per inning. He's a righty, so Pirates are continuing to see a righty lineup, or righty starter rather. So we'll see who's in the lineup. I think overall, we haven't seen McCutchen these past 2 games. I think that's the right decision. He has struggled so far in the early parts. I know he historically has always struggled in April, but I think would love to see Michael A. Taylor back in the lineup, especially when we're talking about these defensive concerns. Michael A. Taylor kind of brings some legitimacy to the outfield that, Sawinski, we've seen some questionable decisions in center field so far, and would love to just see Michael A. Taylor back out there. And not only that, but he's hitting over 400 on the season, right? If we look at the stats overall for this team, if I just pull those up really quickly, I think I have them somewhere. If I don't, I can pull them up later. But when you have the players who are, performing well on both sides, which I think Michael A. Taylor, he did have one outfield, pop out drop between him and Reynolds. I believe it was game 2 of the Orioles series most recently. That was Saturday. But I think, let's see, he has 12 hits. He's hitting 429, right? Only O'Neal Cruz has more. O'Neal Cruz and Ke'Bryan Hayes now have more hits. O'Neal Cruz leads the team with 14 hits. That's great to see. He's hitting 333. Ke'Bryan Hayes, 13 hits, hitting 325. Well, Michael A. Taylor, I don't think he should be a platoon player, and what I mean by that is only hitting against, lefties or, and then having maybe a Connor Joe replace him when it's, a lefty starter, right? Or a righty starter, whatever it is, whatever the breakdown is. I think Michael A. Taylor, the point I'm trying to make is Michael A. Taylor is an everyday player. Yeah, sure, he can get a rest game every now and then, but I think, especially when he's hitting 429, he plays good defense, plays great defense in center field. Hope to see him back in the lineup on Monday. The two pitchers, Mitch Keller and Reese Olson. Some of the lineup for Detroit, we'll see. We'll have seen Mitch Keller. Javier Baez is the only one who has a home run against Mitch Keller in 11 at-bats. There are a handful of players with, 2 at-bats, 3 at-bats. But actually, Reese Olson against the Pirates, there are only 2 players on the team who have any at-bats. Edward Olivares has 3, Michael A. Taylor has 2, and there are no hits throughout that. So that's what you expect when you have a little bit of a younger, starter going against the Pirates Monday night. But anyway, let's wrap this up. It's going a little bit long this episode. I'm having a lot of fun. Pirates are 8-2, first place in the NL Central. If you're still keeping count, the Pirates can't go 160-2 if they don't win their 9th game. So Pirates will try to do just that against the Tigers Monday night. I'll be watching, and you should too. Let's go Bucks.